All right, Buffy.
Yes.
Buffy, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
I am from a small town in southern Michigan, 15 minutes from the Ohio border. Uh, I was born and raised there, and I moved to Dallas the day after I graduated high school.
With your family?
No, no, on my own. My mom and my stepdad lived here. My sister had moved a year before, maybe 2 years before. Um, in my town, there wasn't much talk of or college or just a future. So I thought growing up, I sort of thought my mom is this grandiose, rich figure. And so I thought she'd pay for college. So I came to Dallas to go to college. And I went to a community college. She hadn't set anything up like I thought she had. So I went to school to be a police officer for 2 years.
Police officer.
Yeah, I didn't end up being a police officer. Despite the tattoos, I work in corporate America in the legal field. So I wanted to carry a briefcase and switched from criminal justice to just a general business degree with focusing on paralegal studies. And I've worked about 23 years in corporate America real estate law.
Let's go back to your childhood. So tell me about your mom and dad.
Okay, so I was the fourth child of two parents who were 23 years old. I was the fourth, yeah. I remember very little of them being together, but I do remember the day my mom left. So I think I was around two. My mom packed a suitcase. We all slept in the same bed, I believe. And I just remember waking up and had a suede coat on with fur down it in a suitcase, just holding her suitcase. I mean, looking back, that could be the day she left, or it could be an anger day, and she just left my dad for a couple days. But she left, and four of us, a brother, two sisters older than me, we were left with my dad, who was an alcoholic.
What age were you?
I believe I was probably between 2 and 3 by the time she left. Um, we were going to go to foster homes. Before that, which is really weird in my mind, but before that, my mom lived in the town next to us in a trailer with her boyfriend. And we ended up moving into, or at least staying with my Tio Ray, who was my mom's uncle. We stayed with him, and I remember waking up and our eyes just were like shut with the sleepy things you get in your eye. Nothing was, he's a priest, and was married, and well, I don't know if you can be a priest and be married, but he was something in the Catholic Church. So it wasn't like we had a bad time there, but I remember not being able to come inside during the day, and I remember peeing my pants. Those are my memories there. I was probably 3. And my mom lived on that same property in a trailer with her abusive boyfriend. I don't really know if, like, in my mind, I thought anything of my mom's there and we're not in the trailer with her. I know I was very scared of this guy. But eventually my mom left to Washington, D.C., Maryland area. We were going to go into foster homes, but I guess from what it sounds like, my mom left thinking she left us with a good guy. At least he was a good dad, but he was an alcoholic, and what she says is an abuser. And we never saw the physical abuse, at least that I know of. So my dad didn't have anywhere to go. So I guess it got to the courts, and my dad got custody of us last minute because my grandparents, my dad's parents, said they'd take us. So there's a picture of us all dressed up, looking cute or pretty in our dresses. My brother probably just in some kind of polo shirt, on their back picnic table. And I look at that picture and think, God, we just wanted to be loved and for someone to take us. So yeah, we It was a 400 square foot home. I've never had a bed. I slept on the love seat while my brother slept on the couch, and my grandmother pulled a mattress off her bed every day and put it on the floor for my two sisters. And for some reason, one night, my grandparents were gone. They went to Arkansas every so often. And my dad slept in the basement. And he had like this TV that sits on the floor, one of those old school TVs, probably black and white, but behind it was all the 40-ounce bottles that he could return because we were in Michigan. But there's tons of 40 ounces. But for some reason that night, I woke up. My dad's still around, so I kind of worried about this. But I woke up to what I felt was like blowing on my stomach. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was wrong. I remember trying to get out of the situation by saying I had to go to the bathroom, and he happened to have to go to the bathroom too. I was in my little nightgown and athletic shorts from church camp, and he took me into the bathroom and pulled my pants down and just caressed my body, the hips that I hate to this day. That kind of did this, and I don't know, everything is so clear to me. The feelings, just the wanting to get away, and that lining of my hips. Sometimes I can't even look in the mirror. Getting out of the bathtub, I don't like to be naked. But these hips have just come with me and become something that I don't like. So then to get him away from me, I said I was hot, and there was a pull-out bed on the porch, and he happened to be hot too, and I guess we just maybe he came to his senses, and it was over. I tend to think that wasn't the first time, or there were inappropriate things other times, but that's what I remember. And my poor sister, 4 years older than me, I went to her the next morning and took her in the only bedroom there and explained it to her, and she said never tell anybody. So, but I'm a talker, so I didn't tell anybody for a long time. But a couple of years later, maybe 3, I ended up telling my grandparents, and it was just kind of, no, I don't talk about it. I didn't, kind of confused, but we were continued to be left home there with them while they were out they didn't vacation, so I'm not sure where they would have been, but they had family in Arkansas. But we could yell through the vents, and my dad could hear us. But just a couple nights after I was molested, my dad called me down through the vent and asked me to come down. And I was crying and bawling and didn't want to go down, and nobody knew but my sister. And she might have been the one that actually said she would go down. He ended up having $80 for each of us, which I guess was his welfare money that he got. So yeah, that's that story. My dad went on to actually go to prison, not for me, but he continued to be an alcoholic. Before he went to prison, I was in charge of taking care of him. So
What did he go to prison for?
sexual assault, I believe aggravated.
On who?
Just a neighbor girl of, he ended up remarrying a neighbor girl of one of his stepsons. So that was on my 18th birthday. I'd already
So
moved
is
here.
somebody, a minor?
A minor with disabilities. I was in the same grade as her brother. I was already graduated by the time and moved to Texas by the time that happened. I remember flying back, and I have no idea why, thinking maybe I had friends that would want to hang out with me, my theater friends, but I remember calling and everybody seemed to be on vacation. And I don't think anybody wanted to talk to me because in small towns, those things are in the newspaper. My poor brother has the same name as him. But before that, before I moved, I was in charge of my dad. The one thing, as many laws as he's broken, he never broke driving. So he never had a license. So I would go pick him up after high school. He lived in a trailer with no electricity and no water on some guy's land that he sort of worked for, I guess. I don't know what he did. And we would go get him alcohol. And then I would, maybe food. I don't remember getting them food. One time we went to get weed, and I felt in my head like, oh, we've really crossed a line. I was being raised with my grandparents, and drugs and alcohol, none of that were a part of our household. No alcohol. My grandpa would get mad sometimes and bring home a beer, but he couldn't ever drink it. So, yeah, my dad would be homeless in motels. The Salvation Army put him up in motels for a while. So I move, go back, thinking I have friends, and nobody. I remember that being the most depressing trip. I went back again and was strongly encouraged by my family to go visit him in prison. I made it to the prison parking lot, and I couldn't go in. I had a major panic attack, probably my first, begging people as they were walking by to go visit their people, just begging anybody, help me, take me to the hospital, give me an ambulance. I was freaked out. I never knew panic. I eventually went in, so somebody came out to get me. I remember hearing, like, imagine how Dad would feel if you don't go in. So I remember going in a little bit. I have a picture, I think. Yeah, so I've kept up that. Well, when he was in prison, I'd write him letters, really angry letters, like telling him he can't spell. If he has all that time in prison, wasn't he learned to spell? Begging him to just tell the truth about me. Forget about this other person, who I was on her side, by the way, but just tell somebody that I'm telling the truth. In 7th grade, I went to a counselor, and they called CPS, and they came to interview me. So a few years later, and I was in like a group for kids that were not troubled, but maybe on the edge. And I didn't know that it was a duty to report, and just had to give the whole story. And it's my truth, so I didn't feel like it was there was any sort of lie. So I told it all. And I remember them asking me what word I would use for the vagina. And I remember saying a very crude word. I don't even know where I heard it. But the very next day, I was shamed so much by my family that I had to go in and tell them I was lying. And that was the hardest thing, because I felt like if they were proper CPS workers, they could see in my face or hear in my story that I wasn't telling a lie. I told them exactly what happened as I'm telling you now, and it's so believable. Like, how would a child make that up? But I had to go back and say it was a lie. And I got blamed that my dad actually drove. So I never really had any help. Never really had any toys, any books, anybody to keep me safe from the boogeyman. And the boogeyman was in my basement. Terrified at night to go to sleep, almost still to this day. But I cut off my relationship with my dad this past year, at the end of last year. Just decided it wasn't, I didn't need to be with him, or I didn't need to have a relationship with him. Um, it was incredibly forgiving of me too, and I thought I forgave him until my life started to fall apart, and I realized that that one act of sexual assault, I blame that for everything that's followed to this day. Uh, my mom's abandonment, my mom's drug use, the fact that we could never find my mom, Mother's Day cards would be sent back. We'd try to call her and the numbers would be disconnected. Anytime she'd visit, just maybe once a year, she'd have a different guy. Almost all of that stuff I put to the side, and I'm so pissed off that I was molested. And I'm so pissed off that I'm still to this day fearful and angry and unlovable and not worthy. There were 3 options that night for my dad to choose, and he chose me. And throughout my life, I sort of see a victim, I've become the victim in many men's stories. Nothing to that extreme, but just always the person that's being victimized. And I don't know if that's what caused an internal hate within myself, but I have no hope to this day. Or in my notes on my phone, you'll find different notes to family because I don't want to wake up the next day. I don't have purpose. I haven't had love, romantic love. I go years without hearing I love you. I have a son who's 17. And that's the relationship that I keep most dear, or the only relationship. My family doesn't say I love you. I do have sisters and a brother and a mom and a dad. We don't use those words. But I'm missing what a lot of people have when they come home, is somebody to share life with. And I think that I'm the problem. My looks, my personality, maybe I would be horrible to be around. I think no one's gonna like my body and my face. I have wanted to scratch my neck up so bad that like they'd have to do plastic surgery to fix it. I don't know what's so wrong with me, but it follows me. I have no idea. I can come into a place, I can see, I'm tall, I can see people looking at me, but it's always, in my mind, it's negative. What are they thinking about me? Are my tattoos offensive? Is my neck offensive? Is my face offensive? It's never, oh, they might think I'm pretty, or my style might be great. But I don't care to hear all that. I don't need reassurance. I know what I look like, but I do need love, and I want love. And I don't understand why I'm not deserving of it, except that my mom didn't give it to me. My dad gave it to me the wrong way. Just imagine being at home and working from home, and weeks go by without anybody saying, years go by without anybody saying I love you, but weeks go by without people checking in besides my group text of my sisters and my mom. I feel like my life's a waste. I'm sitting there, and I miss all of spring. And that's the best time in Texas, where it's 70 degrees or 80 degrees. I missed it all because I was home inside. My son luckily drives, and that's how food is delivered to me. I've now discovered Uber Eats, but that's a little expensive, so he actually, when he's with his dad, which is every other week, he checks in on me and brings me food sometimes. Sometimes I just won't eat, so I don't have to go anywhere. And when you're depressed, you aren't necessarily taking care of yourself. So going to the store isn't just let me slip on my shoes and go to the store. It's let me start from scratch and take the bath that I haven't taken for a week and change my clothes, wash my hair. So it's not just get out and go. Sometimes I do get the urge to go out. I love music like nothing other. Music that freaked me out when I was a kid. My dad would have us at house parties and the classic rock music that I hated. I'm obsessed with now. So I do get the urge to go out, and every once in a while I do. And when I do, I get dressed up and I put on makeup, and I love fashion. So I go out, have a really good time, and then when I get back home, I'm like, oh yeah, another night where I don't go out for the attention, but it's so easy to realize there's no attention, there's nobody. I mean, the only times I think I would find somebody is if I'm out. And if you don't find anybody there, no one's coming to my apartment to knock on the door. But living without love is almost unlivable. It's not doable. Having no passions, no hobbies, and I can draw, I can style, I can do these things, but when you're depressed, that all goes away, or you forget you have those. Or sometimes I can draw, and then I'll pick up a pen and I can't draw. So I don't know what happens then, but then it'll keep me away from my hobbies. Sometimes I like to read, other times I can't concentrate. Mostly I just don't see an end. I don't see a positive end for my life. I don't see living for a long time, and I don't plan to take my life. I have a son, and I don't want to leave that legacy, and I don't want to be what my mom is, and I don't want to abandon. So I won't do that. But I will. I do not believe in God. I think I had some religious trauma growing up, but I'll pray to anyone at night. Just make it the last night, make it look like an accident, or give me an accident, stage something where I just don't have to keep going. So I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'd like to say I'll keep going, keep plugging along, and maybe seeing what's out there. I don't see a change for my job. I'm in the highest that I can be for my level. I didn't go to law school, so that would be the next level. I don't see finding a great love. I know a lot of people are doing stuff online, and I just don't have an interest because I think I'll be a disappointment once I show up for the date. And rejection, when you're so used to being rejected, is not something that you go out and seek. So I don't know. Yes, I've been to therapy. I went to treatment at the end of last year for a week, for 30 days, and then 30 days of outpatient treatment. While it was great, everything was great while you're in there, you come out and life is there for you. Nothing changed. You just come back, and it's never enough time. I feel like it should be a year-long process. But so yeah, I've had treatment. I just can't seem to stick to any of these things that they tell you to do. They don't come to mind. Also, like when you're supposed to wake up and feel joy, that doesn't come to mind. I just wake up and start going. I don't stop to process. And I've been a meditator before, had a Buddhist phase. So all of this stuff, I know it's just, it must be so down in there, and the pain is so here. The pain is all here. And it's overwhelming. And I hope one day to find a partner. And I don't want to sound like I'm obsessed for a partner or that I think that's the answer. But I do think when you have love and you're able to share it with someone, and when you're able to compromise or just the different things that happen in a partnership, I think it'd give me some self-esteem that I'm able to become a person that I don't think I can be. And maybe, I don't know.
Have you ever felt loved?
No,
Not even as a child?
no,
The father of your child?
no. I had no business being married. I was married at 28. And when I say I have no business, I was a very faithful woman. Just, I didn't have anything to provide. I didn't know about compromise. I didn't know any of these things. It was my way or the highway, but it was his way or the highway. So it was just a cultural difference, I think, is what happened in the end. But no.
Sometimes the filter that we have can block you from being able to accept love. And certainly what happened to you when you were a young girl with your dad can create that block from feeling lovable. Do you feel like that's what happened to you?
I think it's that. I think it's my mom, my dad, but I think it's the constant, not reassurance, the constant, when you realize over and over, when you try to love or you try to put yourself out there, and the constant rejection, it just eats at you, and it's only building on a pile that you already have this huge pile, and then it just adds to it. And then, so it's like life experience. It's not just that stuff. It's truth. It's going on dates with guys who say, my midsection is too fat, or who don't call me back. Or people, guys make comments that just reiterate what I'm feeling. So it's not like I'm making this all up, or it's not like I had this bad childhood and now things are great and everyone says great things. Like, it's only solidifying what I already know. But yeah, I could have rose-colored glasses, but I would say that no one's ever tried to change it.
Being in Texas makes it difficult?
Being in Texas, so I'll move here next year to LA. I have family here. Being in Texas is, my son is there and I share custody. Being there, no, it's the same everywhere, I think. The great thing about moving to LA will be that I feel like I'm a pack person, so my sister already has a family, and just she and her husband have a great relationship, and they just include me. And I feel like if that's my destiny, then maybe it'll be. But whenever there's major change, so when my son will go to college, I need somebody there. And my plans don't involve another person. So I have to start making plans for my future now. So my plan is to live with my sister and her husband. And then they're gonna build a house in Pismo Beach. And maybe I'll do that too in a couple of years. Like, my plans are their plans, because I don't have the possibility of, or I don't have the luxury of making plans with anybody else.
Certainly you're an attractive woman who could find a partner but do you feel like your self-worth, your self-esteem is just so beaten down?
No, I feel like I can fake it pretty well. I'm not sure what repels people so much, because I feel like certainly if I weren't here, I wouldn't be pouring all of this over someone. So yes, maybe you can pick up on it and stuff, but I feel like I can put a pretty funny front on, and I'm funny and I'm likable at times. So no, I don't know. That's the conundrum. That's the problem, is I want something that I don't think I can ever have.
How old are you?
I'll be 46 in 20 days.
You're 46. You look much younger.
Thank you.
But getting older as a female exacerbates the problem, right?
It does. And when I had my son late. So just that I'm going to have a whole new life at 47. I have a whole new chapter. Let's say I live to 100. And there, I could potentially have this whole new life. Or right now, I'm wallowing and stuck and thinking I'm not going to make it, many more years outside of when he goes to college. But how does one make it without love? I don't think so. I don't believe in God, whatever force there might be or maybe not be. I just don't think humans are meant to live by themselves and alone. I look at couples, even with my sister and her husband, and I see just, the little touch or smile across the room, and I just don't have that. And but I'm so mad at how I was raised. For maybe if I were raised in a different way, I would have it.
Do your sisters know and understand what you went through? Did they go through the same thing, you think?
They have different experiences, not the same. We are just 2 years apart, all four of us. So they have my sister, that lives here. Her thing is more of she tried to always fit into a popular crowd. We had popular and not popular kids, and she always tried. And that's her big deal, is she always wanted to be something that she wasn't. We were from the wrong side of the tracks. And so that's her thing, is all about rejection. And I, while we lived a lot of the same experiences, her set of problems are unique to her. And then my other sister, she sort of just denies that she's had any problems, and she just goes through life. I'm not sure what goes on in her head as she lays her head down at night, but she makes a pretty good front of not having any issues. My brother, who is the oldest and who remembers the most from when they were together, he's in a marriage. He's in our hometown, as my mom, dad, and brother. They're there in my hometown. Everybody has something. My mom had a great love, who was my stepdad, who died of cancer. He was the only man who ever loved me and who I ever felt safe with. He picked me up at 16 from Texas, drove to Michigan on my spring break, and we had to stay in a hotel together on the way back. I was terrified. And my mom didn't know about my dad until I was 18, until he went to prison. I remember her waking me up, and then I told her it happened to me too. But yeah, my stepdad was the best. Once we got through that hotel night, I just begged my mom, make sure there's 2 beds, like terrified. Even I didn't know him well. I didn't know any of her boyfriends well, but he stuck around. And until 2012, he passed away. He was my great love without, I don't know if that's right to say, but he was that person for me. And he's gone. So, but I still feel him sometimes.
Do you feel lovable?
Yeah, at times I've felt very lovable.
No, but do you currently feel lovable?
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, looking at you, you certainly seem like an attractive woman that could easily attract a partner.
And therein lies the problem.
I'm not looking to play your therapist here. I'm not a therapist, but just as a person to have a conversation with.
Yeah.
And I see your problems. You certainly look.
But I'm not. You might say that, or somebody on the street or somebody watching this video might say, oh, but she's full of shit because what's her problem? But it has, I don't know. I feel lovable some days. I feel like I could be the perfect partner. I could be fun, and even just for friendship, I feel like I would be a good friend. but I don't have friends.
Do you think there's anything that you do or are doing that might create that?
With the friends, I think I'm not very good at like making plans and keeping them up. Like when I want to do something, I want them to be available, but I'm not always available for. I'm not available for the emotional side that a friendship needs. Yeah, I have kind of a Don Rickles personality, so someone has to be very open to me being like that and not sending emojis with my text to like say, ha ha ha, I'm kidding. So I think that might keep people away. Another thing I think I do is keep weight on that I hate, and it makes me hate me, and I keep it on, and then sometimes I think it's because I know it repels people. That probably doesn't sound very good because I'm not keeping a ton of weight on, but just so you know, it's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are even drugs now that millions of women are taking that.
Yeah. I'm not opposed. My sister is on one. Certainly not opposed, but there's something in me that's kind of like, if I keep that, then at least there's a reason why I'm not being attracted or I'm not attractive to people. Same thing with aging. I can certainly go get fillers and Botox and all that stuff to make myself look like everybody else. But I think there's part of me that just keeps this.
I don't suggest any of those things that we just talked about are the answer. I think your belief that you are genuinely lovable.
How do I change it? I don't know.
You should have had a different set of parents. That's really
right. And I think like of the comments in the comment section, like people will say, well, I love you, or you are lovable, you are pretty. And it's like that I don't mean to be mean, but that won't help me. That doesn't, people can say I love you from afar, and people can love just soul to soul or person to person. But as much as people can say all of that I'm lovable or I'm beautiful, you're beautiful, it's like, but you don't know me.
Right. It almost requires something profoundly deep to change your situation. Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah, maybe I'll find it. And my plans won't be what my sister's plans are, what her husband's going to do upon retirement. Like, those won't be my plans.
Have you traveled the world?
No.
See, I think sometimes traveling the world, even going to places that you're afraid to go to, can sometimes just shake things up, turn a person's mindset upside down that makes them somehow open to experiences and people and things that might change your life. Mm-hmm.
I don't have the heart to try, not the heart, I don't have the passion for it.
Well, you're coming to California, and that's a big change.
Oh yeah. And it actually is a blessing and a curse that I have this great neighborhood to stay in, because my sister and her husband aren't people about town. They're very settled in their lives, and I come here and it's almost even worse of a depression because you're in the place of opportunity and fun and the beach, and I'm sitting day by day at their house, and I want to do stuff, but I thought I made friends in treatment because treatment was here, and the friends you make in treatment aren't the most reliable. So
but I mean, like, you're into music, and there's certainly a very strong music scene here in LA.
Am I going to go by myself?
Yes, you are.
No,
You're
I
not.
can't.
I would.
I mean, I would love to, but
most people would.
no, I have PTSD. I have CPTSD, but that I don't know that I could handle being by myself. Maybe I could, I don't know.
What are you afraid of?
People.
Like rejection or
rejection. I'm scared just of safety, which is weird because I drove down here with not a question of safety. It sort of sounds like I haven't found myself as I'm speaking, but I don't think that's the case.
And drugs have never been an issue for you?
No.
That's good for you.
I'm very careful with making sure I'm not addicted to anything. So I remember after I had my son, I had a episiotomy, and they give you hydrocodone. And I remember liking it a little too much. So I knew like I could possibly have asked for another prescription, but no, I have no vices, which is also probably one more thing that I need to get, because people that have them,
No, you don't.
well, people that have them seem to be a lot happier. I had one drink the other night out at a great restaurant and paid for it the whole next day.
So drinking is not your thing either?
I will drink, and I would say I'm fun after a glass of wine, loosens me up. But it's the after effects now as I get older that I don't want to, it's too much. Lose a whole day.
Yep.
Not that my days are that meaningful.
And your dad's still in prison, or is he out?
No, he's out. I think he did about 7 years, got out on parole, went back for violating it somehow, but I'm not sure.
Are you angry?
At my dad?
Just angry.
Angry. No.
At him or anybody?
I don't carry anger. I've never been angry.
You don't seem like an angry person.
I've never even yelled in my life. No, I'm not an angry person at all. I am the kindest, not the kindest. I hate when people say that. I am a kind person.
You're a kind person.
I fed someone my my food from Saddle Peak Lodge at a gas station the other day.
I believe that you're a kind person.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety?
I have a lot of anxiety.
And depression?
Yeah, depression, and I hate to label it as depression. I was just speaking with my sister about this today. It's depression-like actions without the feeling of constant sadness. Mm-hmm. So it's speaking about not living in like a nice way, but not having necessarily the sadness, which I have had before. But right now I'm in a place where I don't feel that, but I feel so totally unused and unneeded. And I know my son needs me, but I almost feel sometimes like my son would understand, like with what I was given, like how could anybody have anything else? Like how could my life be successful when I was given this set of circumstances? I know when I went to treatment, my ex-husband and his new wife were very, very caring, and not caring, understanding, but they said, yeah, given her life, like how could she not end up at 45 in mental health facility trying to get better? The one thing I will do though is take shots. I took a shot here. I took a shot by going to treatment.
It takes tremendous courage to just do what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for sure there would be rejection. I analyzed my video. I can't believe I'm here. But I will sometimes get a hair and take a shot.
You're doing it now.
Yeah, and I don't know what'll come from it. I'm hoping something does, but I can't imagine what would.
Sometimes it's good just to shake things up, and mm-hmm. doing this could just do that.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to drive away and...
Regret it?
Not regret it, but just feel the same.
Oh, feel the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I need to get back to Dallas because while I'm here, like I said, if there's nothing to do, no friends, it's hard to get out and do the things that are fun, No,
but I know people that are your age and older who have a very active life in the music scene or in other scenes mm-hmm. here in LA. I assume that probably exists in Dallas and in many other cities mm-hmm. in the country, but in LA, I know it exists. Mm-hmm. And I hope you take to something like that.
I mean, I'm not going to just find friends.
Yes, you will.
No, I'm not. I haven't. I tried dating here in LA when I was in treatment, or right when I got out of treatment, when I was in the...
And the treatment was for?
Just general mental health, depression. I was overwhelmed at work, and then my son had a bad breakup, his first girlfriend, and I woke up to a text. I never wake up in the night, but I woke up to a text of my friend, my son's a guitarist, and another band mom sent me a text and said, "Is Hudson with you?" And I ran to Hudson's bedroom, and this is a kid who just got back from Hawaii the same day, and he got a new car. And he was on the roof of my parking garage at my apartments, saying he was going to kill himself and recording himself and sending these crazy manic texts to his girlfriend. I don't play around with that stuff. My child's not going to go through the same life as me. So, so we got him treatment for 5 days. It turns out he never really was going to, but I processed that and was into mom mode for about a month, and then I crashed. The one thing I love is offering to take himself away from me. And what the hell am I going to do if that happens? The only choice would be to go too. But yeah, that's where all my love lies. Hopefully I don't overwhelm him too much with it. And it's a good thing he has his dad, who's much more conservative and kind of balances out my free-spiritedness. But that was what treatment was. It was my son is actually transgender, from male to female. So for purposes here, I'm saying it's just something that we haven't gotten to yet of completely changing pronouns. Anyway, the treatment was a lot of like mourning. I have no issue with it, but just mourning the thought or the dreams you have for a boy versus a girl. And then, just realizing I had a lot of grieving to do. But also, that's when I just got pissed off. I was like, fuck it, fuck this. I was presented into the world with nothing, and then now some force is gonna take it all away. The one thing I have is that's gonna go away. I was so mad. And I was mad at my mom, I was mad at my dad, mad at the situation. I never knew. Hudson was never depressed. So it was really a shock.
He decided to be transgender after the breakup?
Before. He considers himself a lesbian. So it was a girl. And, as much as I'm very much open, and I think any parent would tell you, I'm open about it and accepting, but you're still mourn. My son's a rock star, small town rock star, and seeing, thinking of dreams of going to Hollywood or dreams of going to college and pursuing music, and even just music production or being on stage. He's going to go more towards business, but that was all as a guy. He's this long-haired hippie kid, much like me, looks wise, not this. But yeah, my dreams were of a boy and a guy doing that. And while I think everybody's so accepting now, so it's not a big deal necessarily, I do think it's easier for guys in the music industry. So we'll see. He's very much still male presenting some days, female presenting the other days. Just depends on his outfits. But even when he would perform, I would style him, and that was my joy as a boy. So now we style him as a girl.
What's your biggest fear now?
My biggest fear is not having to, in July when my lease is up of next year, moving here and having to move in with my sister and follow the path of her husband's retirement and do what they do. It's not a fear because it's what I don't want to do. I want something else for my life. My biggest fear also is just things leaving here and nothing changes. That'll be very disappointing for me. I don't know why. It's not like coming here and recording that I think anything will change, but I don't know. I guess I thought maybe there'd be some aha moment here, or some feeling of accomplishment, maybe. But yeah.
All I can suggest is what I've learned, which is courage seems to be the solution to so many problems like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what form that courage can take, but what I've learned is courage is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You might know what form of that courage might be appropriate, but
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't have the answers, and there's paths I probably would have gone down, and it'd be a more creative field than what I'm in. But once you get into a field, corporate America, I know you left, but you get used to a salary, having insurance, and since I'm the breadwinner in my home, since I'm the only person, and I can't just leave and make the same amount that I'm making, so you kind of get stuck. That would be if you ask me what it would be like a life-changing thing right now, would be to be able to leave corporate America for something, some kind of passion.
And that could be the courage that...
But I can't do it. I can do it if I find somebody else that takes away the burden of bills and stuff. Luckily, bills and stuff aren't a burden for me, but...
Your story is probably very relatable for a lot of people.
I hope so. That's the only thing the only reason I came on. One, I guess I thought maybe you had a bunch of magical answers, or being here would spark something in me. But yeah, I don't know how relatable this is, and I don't know how I'll come off. But I think there's so many people in their houses right now wishing somebody would text them, and wishing... And you might look at them on the outside and think, oh, they have it all, or, whatever. And we're all waiting for a text, or waiting for some physical touch. I don't want to be hugged, yet I want to be hugged. I'm maybe afraid that if someone hugs me, I'll fall into their arms.
Are you afraid of love?
No. I'm a little bit afraid if I would be capable of the traditional kind of love where somebody's in your space all the time.
Are you afraid of having your heart broken?
Yeah, I am. I feel like when I find the person, I'm just going to know. Something's going to click.
Yeah, that's
I really think that's going to happen. And then once I have that, I think some of the insecurities I've had in other relationships will just go away. Hopefully. Yeah, so maybe I don't know. I do think that there's something to that. Like somebody initially, I went on a date the other night, and kind of 10 minutes in was like, yeah, the initial spark thing isn't there. We'd probably be good friends. And I was like, really? We're having a really good time. But yeah, it wasn't necessarily there for me either.
It's all difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Life is difficult.
For a lot of people.
Yeah. But I believe in miracles.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I think I'll go to my grave.
Well, that's great that you believe in it. I wish I could believe in them too. And I do want to. I see through TikTok and Instagram all the time, like, Friday, July 7th is going to be the day. You're going to get these great,
I don't think.
I believe in that stuff. So Friday happened yesterday, and I'm like,
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a place that miracles.
What happened? What happened to Friday? But I did get the notification that I was coming here on Friday. Something else happened on Friday that I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, so I sort of buy into that stuff, or seeing 111 everywhere. I sort of buy into that stuff. One thing I did want to say is that I always feel like I have like a book in me. I'm not going to pursue it because I don't think my story is interesting enough for a book. But I had somebody in my family say, well, what would be the last chapter? You're single and alone and live in an apartment. Like, where's the crescendo? Where's the happy ending? And maybe there won't be one.
Well, we're all the authors of our own stories and lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when has there ever been a great story that didn't end with some kind of courageous act?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not writing a book.
Yes, you are.
I would be really good at it. I'm a writer. That's,
Our lives are books.
yeah, but penning it down, you know. I maybe could have a funny
Maybe
book
it's throwing your career away and starting all over.
yeah, in what? You know, like I don't have something to fall back on that if it didn't work out or that somebody else takes over. That, you know what? For single moms, I think, that have been single for so long, and me for 14 years, I've had a couple of relationships, have never lived with anybody, but you almost just want somebody to come take the weight that's on your shoulders and just take it off. And that is freeing in itself. Like, I don't have to do everything and be everything to everybody. Like somebody else actually wants to help. And I'm not talking financially.
No, but that's part of the equation.
Just in general,
Yeah,
just help and build you up. Like that to me is such a foreign concept. I've been doing it by myself.
For decades. For decades.
For decades. A lot of decades. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep going.
Good for you. You deserve love just like everyone does.
You saying that is almost frustrating to me because I'm going to walk out here without it. You can say it all day. Anybody can say it all day. Anybody can say I'm beautiful, but I'm going to walk out the same Buffy as I walked in. Just a little bit more relaxed.
All right, Buffy. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.